Hello, and welcome to another episode of Thrive Like a Parent podcast. Today, I have back with me one of our beloved coaches and doctor of physical therapy, Maria Gonzalez. And today, we really have the intention of you getting to know her. And the reason for that is I know I speak a lot about how it's not just me, but I want to make sure that you are starting to get to know the other humans that are on my team because number one, they mean so much to me. Number two, they are incredible with supporting all of our clients. And if you ever become a client in any capacity of ours, you will probably hear their names and get to know them. And so it's really important to me that you gain some knowledge and start to really recognize who they are, if you will. So with that, Maria, thanks for hopping back on with me.
I'm so excited to be here again. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for joining. And I think we just want to start with you sharing about yourself. Tell everyone who you are and a little bit about your background and how kind of this journey has led you to this place in your life here today.
Yeah, so I am 47, almost 48. I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I would say that after getting pregnant with my oldest son, I decided to step away from the workforce. And that was a really hard transition to sort of step back and be like, what's my worth? What am I contributing to this family? What am I doing? And that just kind of continued from child to child to child. My husband and I have 3 children. And I would say that with each consecutive child, I poured more and more of myself into my family. And having less and less of an identity of who I am, who was I, what was my purpose here, other than changing diapers and making lunches and all that stuff. And I think probably around the pandemic, which is, I would imagine, the same for many people, I definitely hit rock bottom. I had gained probably 15 to 20 pounds, just was not in a good place with regards to taking care of myself. And I would say that giving to the family and giving of myself was probably at its height at that point, right? Because you were homeschooling and you were doing all the things and not leaving your house. And it was a lot. Around that time, my husband found you and found you on Instagram and said, I think you should reach out to Brooke. And so I did. And immediately, when I spoke to you that first time in May or April of 2021, I was like, this is exactly what I need. And so I signed up and I joined the first ever Thrive group that you offered. And I joined the Thrive really for helping understand how to navigate family and how to navigate being a mom and having 3 children and all with different struggles of their own, and how could I be the best version of myself, and how to help the children out. And I finished Thrive and decided that I needed some more. And so I stayed on to work in a smaller setting to really sort of get to the bottom of what it is that I needed, what it is that I was looking for. How could I be whole? How could I be the best version of myself? And it was amazing work. It was amazing work of just kind of peeling back just all the many layers of the onions and making it, all those raw emotions and raw feelings and experiences came out. And and now I'm here as a mom, supporting other humans that go through this program. And it's such a nice lens to look and see other people, and having been there, and now I know sort of what the journey can look like for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for sharing all that. As I sit here and listen to your journey, I think to myself, I wonder what it must, because I've never taken Thrive, right? Like I only teach Thrive and I lead Thrive. But I wonder what it must be like for all the clients. And when you explained the reasons and what you were longing for out of Thrive, um, it was to kind of very much find that balance for you and to kind of find yourself again, or to figure out where your space or place was in this world through parenthood. And the craziest part about that explanation of it is you didn't even discuss the nervous system. But I think that that relates so much to truly how deep we go within the work that we and how we support our clients in terms of you learn the nervous system, but you really have to, like you said, pull back the layers of the onion and really do the emotional work, the emotional regulation side, in order to get to the point where, I mean, you guys, like, you don't even realize, like, I'm looking at a new Maria here. Like, she literally pierced her nose today, and she has a tattoo. Like, and I'm not kidding you. And she's lost tons of weight, and she is in like the best shape of her life. And like, I didn't tell her to go do any of that. Maria decided to do all that on this journey of her own. And as she has, I mean, now we've been together for 2 years, and or over 2 years, if you will. And it's pretty incredible how not just you, Maria, but you have watched that transformation now with our clients as you support our clients. And when you were saying all that, what came to mind that I wanted to ask you is, what is it like to go through Thrive? Like, what is the exploration that you feel you individually had? And I know that, the first, when you went through Thrive, you really did it with the lens of wanting to support yourself, but you gained so much more in doing it a lot for your children, and figuring out how to support them individually. And then you wanted to stay on to be able to be like, hold on, I need a little bit more for me. But what was it like moving through that whole journey for you?
That as a doctor of physical therapy, we studied the nervous system, right? And it's one thing to study it on paper and understand, okay, well, this is, parasympathetic and sympathetic. And okay, what does all that mean? And how do you actually put it into practice? And I've studied for many years, but to actually be able to put it into practice, it's like connecting the dots. And so, what Thrive was for me was actually bringing awareness to my body of what I had known was possible. So I knew what fight or flight was, but I didn't know that I was in it all the time. I knew what it felt like to be, I knew what burnout was, but I didn't realize I was in it. And so it's the awareness and it's the realization of where you actually are in your cycle of burnout, or whatever it may be. It's I didn't know that I was actually there, and I was living there in a constant state of fight or flight. I didn't know I was in a constant state of burnout. And so it's connecting the dots, but just bringing in that awareness to you that, like, this is where you are, and that it's okay that you're there. How do we move forward? So going through Thrive was just the biggest eye-opening experience for me, to be like, I thought I was good. I mean, I knew I wasn't good, but like, I thought it was fine. And then you really start understanding, gosh, like, I'm snapping a lot. I haven't taken care of myself. I'm not giving my body what my body needs. I'm so unhealthy at this point in time in life. And so all those things add up. And then your body adapts into this, person that I was at that time. So now, looking back 2 years later, it's been so nice to know that, like, I can realize where I am, and I can give my body what my body needs, and I can tend to my heart and my soul, and all those emotions. And all it takes is maybe a little, like, hey, did you see you just snap back there? It's time to take care of yourself. Maybe you didn't work out today, or maybe you didn't, whatever it may be. So it's that awareness. And that's what's been so beautiful to watch through other people going through Thrive, is look to see where they are now. I was there, and I know what it feels like, and I remember what it felt like. And it doesn't mean that I'm never there ever again, but I have the tools now to snap back out of it. I have the tools to say, this is where I am. I know what I need. It's time to go get it.
When I hear you talk about your 2-year journey, I vividly remember, and I know you can attest to this, that all of our clients are like, I want to get there. I want it. Like, when am I going to get there? And Maria, you definitely did that of like, no, but I want to be there, right? Like, when am I going to get there? And I would, and we still, like, we tell our clients every day, like, you have to trust, you have to trust, you have to trust. Like, Rome wasn't built in a day. I can't explain how many times we say that. But I think that we have learned this immediacy culture. And so we expect big results very, very fast. But how has that journey been for you to now? Like, I hope you feel like it's probably been a blink of an eye, but also a long time, right? Like,
Yeah.
both of those things. But how has it been now that you've been 2 years in this? Like, what has it been like to almost internally observe? Because we really do request that our clients start to internally observe their world and really process a lot of their world. And so we remember a lot of that world. How has that been for you from the start to now?
I think that at the beginning of the Thrive program, I remember saying to myself, and maybe even out loud, I can't imagine being where you told me I was going to be. I was like, how is that even possible in 12 weeks? And then I remember around the 10th week or towards the end, I was like, oh my gosh, like I've learned so much. Um, I've, I've, I have so many tools now that I didn't have before. And so, and now 2 years later, it's this ability to see it much more easily. And it's, those highs and lows aren't so high or so low anymore. It's not that I don't have them. We all have them, but it's that like, maybe they're not as long, or maybe they're not as high or as low or whatever. They're more like the rolling hills. And I think what I wanted early on, and that's the part that you have to trust, is I wanted this linear change. I wanted to just get it and think that like it was never going to happen again. I was never going to snap. Once I told my kids
Yep.
something, they were just going to get it right away. And so,
Like,
and
spread your wings and fly and never come home kind of
never
thing,
look
right?
back. Yeah, they were
Yep.
never going to
Never look
go
back.
back. But and also the ability to give myself grace, the ability to not shame myself, the ability to not guilt myself when maybe I didn't show up the way that I wanted to show up, or I thought I should have shown up. So, yeah, I think that really trusting and putting the time in and being vulnerable, like being super, super vulnerable and honest with yourself and your journey.
Yeah. There's a difference between physically feeling this on yourself, right? That's the work that I did individually on myself of like, I know I'm an OT. I know I've treated kids for almost over a decade, but like this isn't clicking in my own home. Like, it's one thing to see a client and then be like, bye, and like send the kid off, on their way. But it's another to have children in your own home and live that every day and try to regulate and teach them. And like, it's completely different, which no one tells you when you're in OT school and saying you're going to work with little kids the rest of your life, right? Like, no one tells you that. But it is completely different learning and experiencing this versus learning how to teach this and learning how to support others and learning the method behind how we teach and support our clients. And as soon as I felt an immediate connection to Maria, and I mean, you know my love for you, Maria. I'm not going to cry today. I'm very emotional the last few days. Thank you, hormones, but I'm not going to cry. But I initially felt a connection to you, and it was so evident, especially with Maria's background and her base knowledge, that I knew Maria was someone I wanted to stick around. I didn't want to let her go. And I mean, as soon as you were done on the working with me side, immediately I was like, no, but wait, you're not done. You're going to like, hey, you want to stay? And I've been training you, and you've been working with clients for, I don't know, a year and a half now, who like a really long time at this point. How was that to transition from doing the work to yourself to now supporting others, just like you were at one point, you know? And I mean, I did it to myself too.
I think the awesome part about it is that not only is there sort of like the book knowledge, and there's your training and remembering everything that you taught, but there's also the fact that like I was there and I went through it all, and I still go through it on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. So it's not like, I don't have any an inability to relate to the situations. Like I get emotional with my clients. I cry. I get choked up when they share things because, you know, being able to be vulnerable with them is part of the process. I really, really enjoy supporting, you know, moms, dads, humans in general, in that like I've been there. Like I know what it's like. And, having that sort of perspective is really important because you can relate. You can relate to so many people. And I think something else really important is that so many times when we want to do this like work on ourselves or these self-help books, like we just want to grab a book and open it up and like read it and be like, okay, well, this should do, like this should fix what I need to have, what I need to change. And in reality, like it's never going to work that way. Like you have to try it on and you have to go through the discomfort of, feeling everything. And that's what's so amazing about Thrive, is that you get to feel it all step by step. You're not pushed through it. You're not rushed through it. You just take, one little step at a time. And it's really like, it's the most lasting change I have ever seen in for me. Um, that you get to practice it on a day-to-day, hourly basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that this is a lifestyle. This is not a quick fix. And it's so hard to explain to people. Every now and then we'll get questions from individuals who are thinking about working with us, and they're like, but no, like give me an example. Like how, like what does this look like? I personally think the coolest part about it, which may not satiate their question, but I personally think the coolest part about it is I can't give them that answer because I don't know specifically what each individual is going to need. And that's why we have taken the time and many, many months to train all, like, to do the work, and for everyone to learn this stuff, and for you and Brittany and Emily to be able to know how to support each individual brain and each individual nervous system. And what we are doing behind the scenes is we are basically tracking each of our clients' nervous system. Maria and I were even speaking today in our thread with Brittany, Maria, and Emily, and we were talking about one of our clients who reached out to me, and she's in the midst of Thrive, and we were supporting her more, and we were all discussing like where we think and what's going on and how to support her, and what's the information that we need to support her with, and how to go about that. And it's really a collaborative effort to make sure that we are supporting the individual brain. And I mean, that's like music to my ears, of that this has been the longest lasting change that you've seen, because there's just so much out there in terms of, I mean, there's courses by the dozen, especially through the pandemic. We were also locked at home. It was like, here's another thing, and here's another thing, and here's another thing. And the sad, heartbreaking news is that there is no quick fix. And it does take time, but you do at the same time blink and you're 2 years out, and you're like, you tattooed, pierced, and all. Like, you're like, what's that? Like, like regulated and thriving and and badass, and supporting others through that too. And Maria's not the only one, by the way, who has done tattoos or piercings or dyed their hair or lost weight on our and those aren't things again that we recommend or say go do so, like go jump out of a plane and then you'll know how to regulate yourself. Like, I mean, you would definitely feel the flight or flight, right? Like you would definitely feel that if you were, whew, yeah, that's not something I'll be doing. Maybe Maria might be doing that
Maybe.
soon, but who knows? Maria, what have you loved most about supporting our clients?
I think seeing that shift, like once they get to that sweet spot where they're understanding what they
Mm-hmm.
need to be doing. And I feel like we're in that right now in our current
Oh, yeah.
group of Thrive. We're in that spot where, the clients are sharing more. They're sharing differently. They're going deeper. They're prefacing every statement with how they're feeling, and they're really tapping in and gaining this awareness that they did not have a few weeks ago. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the part that I love really the most, is when they kind of settle in and they realize that, like, okay, like this is the work. We've gotten through some little bit of uncomfortable stuff, and now I'm starting to become aware. I'm tapping into my
Mm-hmm.
body real time. Because I know for me,
Mm-hmm.
when I first started this, I had no idea how to tap in real time. I knew how to look back and be like, oh, I was mad back then, or I was mad earlier today, but I didn't realize it in the moment. I couldn't stop myself and be like, I feel really angry right now. And so I would say that seeing that shift of that awareness of that current ability to share how they feel and really feel it on their bodies, it's probably like one of my favorite parts of Thrive and supporting our
Mm-hmm.
clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Would you say that there is a difference for you between working one on one with some of your clients versus Thrive? And not in a capacity of like, do you enjoy one more than the other? But like, do you see, I don't know. I don't like that question. We're going to figure out another question. Hold on. I don't like that question. I wanted to make sure that people know you do one-on-ones too. So I'm trying to incorporate that. I'll just ask, like, how has it been for you to work one-on-one with clients, not just in Thrive, but having your own caseload?
I think it's been actually a lot of fun to work one-on-one with clients, because it gives them permission to go deeper. It gives them permission
Mm.
to be more vulnerable. Some clients really thrive in a group setting. Other clients really thrive when it's just me and them. And
Mm-hmm.
so having that sort of ability to spend that full time with them where they share everything that they want to share that maybe they wouldn't share in a group setting. It's been really awesome. And you really can connect so much more deeply when you spend that full hour talking one-on-one with the client.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely there's no wrong, but there is definitely a difference. You know, it's like you're saying, it's that 1 hour. If you're doing our group, then it's mostly me chatting and having or verbalizing, and then the chat, everyone's typing in things and sharing that time. But if you do one-on-ones, it's so much more intimate in terms of like you have our one-on-one attention for that full hour, and any questions you have, anything that's coming up for you. And we don't want to just know you. We want to know your entire family. And we really pride ourselves on supporting the entire family, not just the person that's in front of us, if you will, because you're managing and living with, many people in your home, and they all have different nervous systems as well. And navigating that and supporting the partnership and supporting the children and supporting the person themselves, like that's our goal. That's really what we want, is to make a long lasting impact with the entire family rather than just the one person. Do
Yeah.
you feel that for yourself, of like, I feel like, how before I met your kids, I was like, I feel like I know them. And I did. Like, I feel like I know all of our kids. Like, do you feel that as well? Do you feel like I know my clients' kids, but like I've never met my clients' kids before?
Yeah, and actually, as you were asking that question, what was coming up for me was I said my favorite part of the journey is when they have this awareness, but I also have another favorite part is when we go through the sensory profile and really
Mm,
get an understanding of who each client is, and if they have children, who their children are, and if they have a partner, who their partner is. Because I know for me personally, it gave me such an understanding and sort of an acceptance of
mm,
who the people were around me. And rather than trying to fix them and make them into a different version of themselves, it was
yeah,
accepting who they were and helping them thrive in
yeah,
within their own nervous system's abilities. And
yeah.
so that is really like one of my favorite parts of working with clients is helping them connect better to their spouse and connect better to their children if they have those people in their lives, and see them gain this acceptance and this understanding
Mm-hmm,
that they definitely didn't have before.
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's. I think one of the coolest things in Thrive, especially with this time of the year, because we do it twice a year, is when all of our clients go home or go to their prospective families for Thanksgiving and then they come back and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that was like so different." Like wow, I was just sitting on the couch and like supporting me and like doing what I needed to do for me, but not really like being the people pleaser that I was and not really, over functioning as I normally do, or being anxious about being around the family, or showing up as a specific, parent like I should be, or like it's so cool to watch how this work, even though it is nervous system regulation. And I'm going back to exactly what you said in the beginning of how you explain Thrive. Like it's all nervous system regulation. It's all sensory and emotional regulation, right? But at the same time, it's getting down to thriving in your own life and really truly living out how you want to live out your life and how you want to express yourself, right? And how you want to show up in the world and truly what you want your journey to look like. Because, like you're saying, being vulnerable and getting honest with your feelings, you know, the, the truth will set you free, right? Like it's really, you have to be so honest with that immediate awareness. Like you're saying, you didn't have that immediate awareness before of like, okay, what's going on with me? You are honest, brutally honest with yourself every minute of every single day for the rest of your life. And because you have that awareness and honesty, and we really teach and help our clients build a new pattern within their brain of like, it's okay to be honest. Like you don't have to be bashful or fearful or feel guilt or shame for just being honest with like where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
That it allows them to finally, like you're saying, not just like peel back the onion, but like it's like letting a flower blossom and like stay, and yeah, there's ups and downs. Maybe you get a little bruise and one petal falls and then another one comes, um but it, like an orchid, if you love it and you stroke the orchid and you give it some love, it'll eventually come back. I
Don't
know
ask me
some of
about
my
my orchids.
oh my God, I've never been able to, by the way. I've never been able to, ever, ever,
My orchids
ever.
don't live, so
That was a terrible, sometimes the examples that I give, I'm like, how did that just come out of my mouth? Like what did, like, but it just comes. And I'm just like, keep going, Brooke. Like, just say
yeah.
say the metaphor, like just, and it
And don't
somehow
judge
works
my
out.
coaching by how my orchids survive.
Yeah. 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 Note to self. Let's not, yeah. Right.
Yes.
Okay. Um, okay, Maria, last question for you. If I'm going to say that again. If someone was on the fence and wanting to potentially join Thrive or wanting to either work with you one on one or, like what would you say to someone who's thinking about it?
I think that obviously taking a chance on yourself is scary, and making a financial commitment is scary. But what comes out on the other end is priceless. Like, you just can't put a price on where you can be if you allow yourself and you give yourself that opportunity to be vulnerable. Like, it is so incredibly worth it for you as a person. It's so incredibly worth it for you as a partner, if you have a partner, or as a parent, if you are a parent. Like, there is so much to gain. There is so much deeper bonds, many deeper bonds that happen with those around you, because you see yourself differently and you can see others differently, and you can accept others and you can accept yourself, and you can be aware of yourself and be aware of others. And that's not going to come from reading a book. It's going to come from doing the hard work. And
Yeah.
if you're questioning whether to take that chance, I can tell you, as someone who's now 2 years into this work, I don't even know where my life would be had I not. Like, had I not done
Same.
this, I I don't know. Like, it would have just been a very different person. And now I'm, like she said, I'm 25 pounds down. I got a tattoo and multiple piercings and chopped my hair and, like, done all the crazy things because, I know I know how to
Yeah.
give myself what I need. And I never
Mm-hmm.
felt the permission to do that before. I never felt like I
Mm-hmm.
should have before. And
Mm-hmm.
so this Thrive for me has been so much more about finding the musts in my life, and stop listening to the shoulds of others.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm going to piggyback off of that. We work with parents and non-parents, and we see so much growth in all of the humans that we work with. But I am going to pinpoint one of the coolest things. And I always say, this is the reason why I do this. This is the reason why I do this. But the coolest part is that now, Maria, you're showing up as that parent for your child, and you have this awareness and understanding so deeply that our clients get, that they understand what truly mental health looks like and how to support your mental health on a neurological level. And it stems so deep that we are then able to impart this wisdom onto our children. And that, to me, is one of the biggest pieces. Is, all of our clients are coming to us in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, but for the ones of us who do have children, once you make that shift, your child is then living with that parent, like that version of you. And that's the version you've always been, but maybe never let out, right? And our children will then learn that. And we help our clients learn how to support our children through the same mindset. And they're getting it from an early age because they're children, rather than, it is so much harder to rewire your brain at this age, right? Our age, rather than our child's age. And it's all pretty cool. And I think we both love what we do, right?
It is. It's pretty cool. And it is, as a parent, that is probably one of the most beautiful things that has come out of this for me, is having that ability to model and show the children, emotional regulation. Not always, right? Like, there's plenty of moments where I have my moments, but I mean, it's that ability to say out loud, I'm feeling really frustrated right now. I need to take a break. I'm going to come back when I've calmed down, and modeling that for them, so that they, as children, practice that, they hear that, they understand, so that as an adult, or as a partner, or as a parent themselves, they can say that to their children. And so they don't take on um, my emotions, right?
Yeah.
Like, those are my emotions for me to regulate, not for them. So they learn to
Mm-hmm.
understand that their emotions are theirs and my emotions
Mm-hmm.
are mine. And so, just that awareness, that ability from such a young age, for them to hopefully become adults that are much more emotionally regulated and aware than we are doing this work much later.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 1,000%. I mean, all of our brains are plastic, right? Neuroplasticity, but it's much easier to do as a child and build those patterns. One of the practices we do in Thrive, or I would say exercises, is to help our clients become aware of, holy shit, I'm going to say it. Like, I've been patterning my brain that way for not just a year or two, but like decades. Like, oh my gosh, I've been living that way for decades. And I think that is truly what moves into allowing the permission, right? Of like, oh, okay, like I understand I have these patterns from so many years. Now I understand that I can be kind and gentle with myself, because
Mm-hmm.
it is going to take me time to shift these patterns and do the work of rewiring certain patterns that I've had for a really, really long time. And it's really cool that our kids get this from a very early age. Really,
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I would say
Well,
the kids are more like the silly putty that stretches so easily, and we as adults are just a little bit stiffer, but it doesn't mean that we can't move and change and grow.
that was a good
That
metaphor,
was
Maria. Not the orchid,
not
the
the orchid.
putty. That was a fantastic one. I love it. I love it. Well, Maria, is there anything you want to say before we wrap up?
I just want to thank you, Brooke, for being such a great model for me on my journey and being such an integral part of our family and our family's growth. And I know that I had to do the work, but I had to have a guide, and I want
Yeah.
to thank you so much for being that guide.
Well, I love you very much. And it's been an honor to watch your journey. And I I can't thank you enough for the role that you play in my own life. I lean on you all the time. And we are so lucky that, I mean, our team, we're so connected and we feel so safe and comfortable with each other. I mean, as if we were family or sisters, we lean on each other, all four of us, when we need each other, and we don't hold back, and we allow each other to kind of hold space for each other. And um, I'm so honored that you decided to stay on, and I'm so honored that you get to support our clients in this way, because you're phenomenal at it. And I could not ask for a better team. And I literally, Marie, I try to tell clients, I'm like, I would not have these people on my team. Like, I would not recommend these people to be like, trust me, you're in good hands, unless I knew you were getting the same results as if you were working with me. And that's really, truly one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast with you guys, is because I want everyone to get to know how special and wonderful all of you are too. And I want them to trust me when I say they will get their same results, and you guys are fantastic. And it's a wonderful experience, and you can't go wrong with any of us. So with that, Maria, thank you for joining today. And
Thank you.
until next time, XOXO, Dr. B.